Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Bossman. We're going to practice some long division. Everybody needs a little bit of practice. Our first problem that we're going to start with, problem number 1, is 125 divided by 15. 125 is our dividend, and so it goes inside what I'll call the house. And the 15 is our divisor, and it goes outside the house. Now as we look at this number, something that we need to do, you'll notice I have a rectangle over here. I want you to pretend that this rectangle is your finger. And we're going to take your finger and we're going to cover up all the numbers in the divisor. And one at a time we're going to uncover them. We're going to look and we can look and see, can 15 go into 1? No, it cannot. So we're going to move, take our finger and uncover one more digit. Can 15 go into 12? No, it cannot. So we need to uncover yet one more digit. Can 15 go into 125? Yes, it can. And we can take that 125 divided by 15, and we know that 8 times 15, and we're going to put the 8 right over the 5. That's why we use our finger as we uncover, because now our last digit where we uncovered, we know that's exactly where the first digit is that we are going to have for our new quotient. So now we're going to multiply this 8 times 15, and we're going to first go to the ones digit first. 8 times 5 is 40. I'm going to write the 0 down and carry that 4. And then I'm going to multiply 8 times 1, and that we know is 8, and I have to add on that 4, so I get 120. Now we know we need to subtract. When we subtract 120 from 125, we get the digit of 5. Now we're going to yet one more time grab our little finger, slide over, make sure there's no more digits under there. There are not. Got to think about, where's our decimal point at this point? We know that the decimal point is at the end of the 125. Well, we need to place that decimal point, and if you're in my class, you know that you want to place that decimal point. You want to shoot it through the roof, not through the television like a Bossman might. And now we have to annex a 0. Add a 0 on, bring it down, because we still didn't have a 0 in our multiplier here. So we've got 50. Can 15 now go into 50? I know that it can, and I know that it can go in 3 times, because 3 times 5 is 15, and I'm going to carry that 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus that 1 is 4, so I can subtract, and I get a 5 again. Well, I know that 15 cannot be divided into 5, so I'm going to have to annex another 0. I also am noticing a pattern here. If I had 50 up here and I've got 50 down here, I also know that 3 is going to be a divisor again. So a quotient again. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry that 1. 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 is 4. Look at them, and it looks to me like I've got a repeating decimal. My answer to this problem is 8 and 33/100ths repeating. So we'll move on to our next problem. Okay, so our next problem is 14 and 7/10 divided by 3. So I need to divide 14 and 7/10 by 3. I know that the number that's being divided goes inside the house, 14 and 7/10, and the 3 goes outside the house. And once again, I'm going to use my artificial finger here. I need to bring it to the front. Okay. And I'm going to use my artificial finger. I'm going to slide it in place, cover up every number of my dividend. And now I'm going to go one at a time. Can 3 go into the digit 1? No. So I know that I'm not going to write anything in the space right above that 1. I'm going to move my finger over one more digit. Can 3 go into 14? Well, yes, I know that it can, because I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So that's going to work. 14 minus 12 is 2. Now I check and I say, can 3 go into 2? No, it cannot. So I'm going to pull my finger over one more digit. Oh, look, I had forgotten to place my decimal point. Got to shoot that baby right through the roof instead of the television. If you're in my class, you know what I'm talking about. So now I've got 147. I can uncover that digit. Now I look and I say, can 3 go into 27? I know that it can 9 times, because 9 times 3 is 27. So I know when I subtract here, I get a remainder of 0. So I know my answer to 100, or 14 and 7/10 divided by 3 is 4 and 9/10. I can also check my work if I want to know. I can take my quotient here and multiply it by my divisor, and I will find out in the decimal place that I get my dividend. So I can always check all of my division problems by taking my answer times my divisor to get my dividend. So we're going to move on. We've got another problem. That was problem number 2. We're going to move on to problem number 3. Here we have, you notice we're getting a little bit more difficult each time because suddenly now I've got some more decimals happen and there's a lot more decimal places showing up. So I have the number 2 and 565 thousandths divided by 5/10. I know that the 2, I'm going to actually slide this up the screen so I have a little more room. I know that 2 and 565 thousandths goes inside the house. That's my dividend. And my divisor, 0 and 5/10 goes outside the house. I have a bit of a problem here because I remember my math teacher way back in 5th grade when I learned how to do this. She told me that I could never have a number that's not a whole number as my divisor. So I recall that she told me what I need to do is I need to multiply this number by, I need to get that decimal point at the end of the number, make it a whole number, and I know that if I multiply 5/10 times 10, I will get a whole number of 5. So multiplying by 10 means moving that decimal point over one place. And if I do that to my divisor, I have to do that same thing to my dividend. So I'm going to put that decimal point right between the 5 and the 6. And we have to remember, I am not a bossman, or you're not a bossman. You can't shoot it through the television. You have to shoot it right through the roof. So place your decimal point right now at that point. So I've got my problem in the algorithm box, and I am going to now get my pretend finger over here to cover up every single one of my digits in my dividend. And one by one, this is how I'm going to uncover. I'm going to cover 1. And I look and I see, can the number 5 go into the number 2 evenly? No, it cannot. So I am not going to write anything above that 2. I'm going to leave that blank. And then I'm going to move over my finger one more digit. And now I'm going to look and I say, can 5 go into the 25? Yes, it can. 5 goes into 25 5 times. So I write that 5 directly above the second digit of 25 because 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to write my product of 5 times 5, 25. I've got a 0. I'm going to check at this point and look to see right now, see how well I'm doing. Can this 5 go into this 0? No, it cannot. So I'm going to have to uncover another digit. When I uncover my next digit, I bring it down next to my 0, and now I have the number 6. Can the digit 5 go into 6? It certainly can. It can go in one time because 1 times 5 is 5, and when I subtract 5 from 6, I have a remainder of 1. Now I'm looking and I double check, can 5 go into 1? No, it cannot. So I pull over my imaginary finger, uncover yet one more digit, bring that digit down here next to the 1. I have the dividend of 15 now. Can my divisor of 5 go into 15 evenly? Sure can. It goes in 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. I subtract the 15. I get a remainder of 0. My dividing is complete. I'm going to quickly check my answer. 5 and 13 hundredths times 5/10. And I'm going to multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. I carry that 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to write that down. Now I've got to determine where my decimal point goes. I know that there are 1, 2, 3 places in this problem where there are digits behind a decimal point. So I'm going to count from the end of this number. 1, 2, 3 places. My decimal point goes right here. Now I'm going to check this to make sure that it matches my dividend in the beginning, and it does. So I know that my answer, 5 and 13 hundredths, is the answer to the problem 2 and 565 thousandths divided by 5/10. Okay, we're ready for yet one more problem. I see a whole lot more decimals going on here. Just loving this decimal business. So this time I have 1 and 4/10 divided by 1 and 5/10. And I'm thinking back to when I learned how to do this, and my fifth grade teacher told me we cannot have a decimal number less any decimals behind the decimal point in our divisor. So I need to move that decimal point over till I get to this number. From it being 1.5, I need it to be 15. If I moved it over one decimal place here, I need to move it over one decimal place here. I'm going to take that baby, shoot it right through the roof, not through the television, and I have placed my decimal point. Now I'm going to begin to divide. I'm going to need to bring my imaginary finger over. Now when you're doing this at home or on a problem on your own, you're going to use your finger. You're going to cover up everything inside the house, cover up your entire dividend. And now we uncover one digit at a time, and I look at this number and I say, can the number 15 go into 1 evenly? No, it cannot, so I will not write anything above that 1. Now I need to uncover yet one more digit. Look and I say, can 15 go into 14? Well, no, it's not. 15 is larger than 14, so there's nothing I can do there. If I weren't directly in front of the decimal point, I wouldn't put a 0 here, but I'm going to because I'm right there next to a decimal point, and I don't want to leave that decimal point naked in front. So I move my finger over one more time, and I see that there are no more digits. Well, what do? I annex a 0. So now I'm looking at the divisor of 15. Can that go into 140? Certainly can. It can go 9 times. When I multiply 9 times 5 to get 45. I write the 5 down, carry that tens digit of 4 over to my tens digit in my divisor. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13. So now I'm going to subtract 135 from 140, and I will get 5. So now I check. Can 15 go into 5? No, it absolutely cannot. So I'm going to annex another 0. I bring down that 0. Can 15 go into 50? Yes, it can. 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry that 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus that 1 that we had is 4. 45. I subtract, and I now have 5. I know from the prior piece right up here, I had 50 before. I had a 5, and I annexed a 0 there, brought it down and had 50. I know what my outcome is here. I'm going to have 3s till the cows come home. So my answer to this problem is 93, 93 hundredths repeating. I'm sorry, 93 hundredths repeating. All right, so here we go. This is our fifth and final problem. Notice we're getting more decimals going everywhere. This is our toughest problem we're going to do. So I'm going to take my dividend. I'm going to put it inside the house. Whoops, I don't want 1. I do not want 1. I want 2,501 and 45 hundredths. I'm going to divide that by 12 and 25 hundredths. As I look at this problem, the first thing I notice is I have decimal places out here. So what do I need to do? I need to bring that decimal point 2 places to the end of that number. And of course, if I did that in the divisor, I got to do that in the dividend. 1, 2 places. Shoot that baby right through the roof. Place your decimal point immediately upon deciding where it goes. Put it up there. Okay, and then I've got to get my imaginary finger working again. Got my imaginary finger, and I'm going to bring that to the front. I'm going to cover all my digits. And now I'm going to look one at a time. Can 1,225 go into the number 2? No, it cannot. So I am not going to write any digits above the 2. Now, I'm going to uncover yet one more digit. Obviously, 1,225 cannot go into 25, so I'm going to uncover yet another digit. Can 1,225 go into 250? No, I'm uncovering one more. But finally, the coup de grace, I find out that I've got enough digits. 2,501 can be divided by 1,225. So I'm going to start right there. And I'm thinking that it'll go in the 2. 2 times 5 is 10. I'm going to write that 0 down. Carry that 1 for the tens place. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So now I have 2,450. I'm going to subtract. Bring down my 1. I'm going to borrow here. 10 minus 5 is 5. So now I have a dividend of 51. And I look at that 51, and can 1,225 go into 51? Obviously, no, it cannot. So I need to uncover yet one more digit with my imaginary finger here, and I'm going to bring that 4 down. And I'm looking to see, can 1,225 go into 514? Obviously not. So since it cannot, I'm going to put a placeholder up there right above the 4. Because you notice every time I'm placing my digit right above the last digit of my dividend. So now I need to bring down this last 5. Bring down the 5. Can 1,225 go into 5,145? Yes, it can. It can go 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. I write down the 2, the 0, I carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. I write down the 0, I carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I have nothing to carry this time. And then 4 times 1 is 4, and now I can subtract. When I subtract here, 5 minus 0 is 5, 4 minus 0 is 4. Gotta borrow here. 11 minus 9 is 2. Now I check. Can 1,225 go into 245? No, it can't. So I'm going to move my imaginary finger. Oh, I have no more digits. I still have numbers down here, so I'm going to annex a 0. Annexing the 0, bringing it straight down. Now I check. Obviously, yes, 1,225 can go into 2,045, and it will go in 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. I carry that 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 1 is 2. I subtract 0, 0, 0, 0. I have my final answer. 204 and 2 tenths goes into 2,501 and 45 hundredths, 12 and 25 hundredths times. Now I'm going to take that answer, 204 and 2 tenths, and I need to multiply that by 12 and 25 hundredths to check to see if my division was correct. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21, carry that 2. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Now I'm moving on to my tens digit, so I leave a placeholder in the ones digit. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. Move on to the next digit. Now I'm in the hundreds place. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. Getting a little crowded here. I didn't leave myself much room. So now I'm moving on to the thousands digits. So I leave 3 placeholders, and 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. Need to add these digits up. Well, I've got a 0 here on the end, and a 5. 2 and 8 is 10, and 4 is 14. I have 8 and 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. I have 2 and 4 is 6, plus 4 is 10. I have 4 and 1 is 5, plus 0 is 5, and 2. And now I need to place my decimal point. Right now my decimal is sitting back here, but I count up here in my original problem. I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places, so I move it over 1, 2, 3 decimal places. I'm moving my decimal point right to here, and look at my dividend was 2,501 and 45 hundredths, so I know for sure my answer is correct, and it's 204 and 2 tenths. I hope this little review of long division helped you, and we'll see you in class soon.